Next, we are privileged to have with us His Excellency Mr. B.N. Reddy, High Commissioner of India to Malaysia. His Excellency Mr. B.N. Reddy is the High Commissioner of India to Malaysia, a position he has held since September 2021. A distinguished diplomat from the 1993 batch of the Indian Foreign Service, His Excellency Reddy has served in various capacities across Indian missions worldwide, including Indonesia, Laos, DPR, the United States, Malaysia, Switzerland, and Nigeria. He holds a mechanical engineering degree from BITS Pilani and an MTech in thermal engineering from IIT Mumbai. It is also to note that His Excellency Reddy is proficient in Telugu, Hindi, Sanskrit, and Bahasa Indonesia. With that, we welcome His Excellency Mr. B.N. Reddy to come on stage, accompanied by Dato M. Krishnan on stage as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murugappan and Madam Meena, for a wonderful introduction to this whole event. What a lovely morning this is. We had such young children singing so melodiously in such a seamless manner. Those particular devotional songs really inspired this morning, I must say that. YB Senator Saraswati Kandaswamy, Honorable Deputy Minister of National Unity, I understand Mr. Narayanan is not here, but I see his presence, I can feel it because of everyone talking about him. Mr. Ravi Veerappan, Chairman, IBCN 2025 Bangalore. Mr. Choko Valyappa, Co-Chairman of the IBCN 2025 Bangalore. Of course, Dato R. Ramanathan, President, Malaysia Nagatar Chamber of Commerce. Your very able Deputy Vice President. I see that Dato M. Krishnan, and also, of course, your colleagues, your committee members of the MNCC who are here, business leaders of the MNCC, and of course, I have very distinguished among the gathering. I see that Dato Kasi is here, and Dato Thangavelu, and various other speakers who are here. What a wonderful morning this is, and it is indeed important that we are able to join you this morning. Once again, Vanakkam, good morning, Salamat Pagi. At the very outset, I want to really commend the way you characterize this whole event, Dr. Ramanathan, because you're calling it as a business junction. I mean, it is truly symbolizes the very spirit with which you all have been coming together, the spirit of entrepreneurship. I think it's at the heart of, as I've understood the movement of Nagaratas over the centuries. Particularly today, you are bringing together various strands of business and entrepreneurship at one place. I see that including banking, financial solutions, investment avenues, as well as some kind of smart investments, taxation and property management. I think you're covering the entire spectrum of it. I do recognize that, Dr. Ramanathan, you made this request about having a Indian High Commission to do a OCI camp or a OCI event here. It is just that our entire team is in Johor as we speak today. They're doing one event in Johor. What I promise you is, at a date of your choice, we will organize one either in this very hall or it could be in the Indian High Commission. You can pick the date, and my colleagues from the High Commission will coordinate to make sure that we are able to have, because I do not want an event where answers are given in a very perfunctory manner. It should be answers are given so that the individual who has to get the benefit of the answer to get a complete answer, so that the professionals are able to answer that and to be able to address them in the right earnest and be able to take them to the next level of having to apply for a OCA card, and thereby we are able to move forward, I think. Before I proceed further, again, a couple of words about Nagaratars. In some sense, I've been a student of history, apart from doing my own engineering, and I've had the privilege of studying ancient India. And, what comes out very striking when you look at India's entrepreneurial and business communities of, let's say, millennia, what comes out is a significant contribution from the Nagaratar communities. And you have a rich history of promoting commerce and trade, not just within India, but with the regions outside India. And most significant, as I see it, is the Southeast Asia, current Southeast Asia, where I think you really made that, what we call, movement, which helped India's own projection of it. I would encourage all of you to read a new book which has been released called The Golden Road by William Dalrymple. He brings out very specifically the contribution of the sort of trading communities from India, how they evolved and moved to the Southeast Asia, which is obviously the first port of call was the then Malaya, and thereafter how into other parts of Southeast Asia, and helped contribute in connecting India, then India, with this part of the world in the most effective manner, of course. Then you had the voyages of the Pandyan and the Cholan, and all those great things happened. It is simply because the basic initial steps of connecting the communities in a true sense of the term were done by the trade guilds, particularly from the Nagaratar communities over the centuries. So again, your expertise is well known in commerce, banking, money lending, as you mentioned, Dato, a little while ago. And what I think is significant in the context of Malaysia is, I had the privilege of being with Dato Sri Ramanathan from Penang, and he actually conducted me through the various collections that he has made, and I'm sure it's a magnificent museum is going to come out. He's already hired that building where what is more remarkable in the kind of let's say books that have been collected, or for example the literature that has been collected, significant thing is even the contribution, as you a little while ago said, Dato, contribution of Nagaratar community, the Chettiar community at the very beginning, even before Malaysia's independence. And some of the studies that were done, even the economy of then Malaya has been analyzed and produced in the form of papers. And I've had the privilege of receiving some of the copies of that. Thank you, Dato Sri, and I wish you all the best in your endeavor to take this to the next logical, higher conclusion, and making it available to the larger public. And thereby they recognize the yeoman contribution of the Nagaratar community, and particularly the Chettiar community in Malaysia, to Malaysia's, then Malayas, and now initial stages of Malaysia, particularly Penang and Malacca, all those very important port cities of the time, how they enriched, benefited from your contributions of the Esther years. Again, what strikes me also, it is not just the commerce that the community looks at. Historically, you have been engaged in charitable activities. We have the legend here that Okasi himself is such a great philanthropist, having done so much for contributing to the Malaysia's, the world of architects and architectural world. I mean, you have so many examples. Tan Sri Palan, I didn't see him, but I'm sure many other legends are here who have done in their own way in the areas where they have taken interest. And I think this is something which we feel very proud of in the Indian High Commission, to see the community doing well and also trying to connect well and take it to the next, as you rightly felt, that the need to regroup in a different manner, while each one having their own contribution to do, but what you can do for cohesiveness of the larger Chettiar community in Malaysia and in the region, and more importantly, as I said, connecting back with India. I think this is where I think IBCNs are going to be such a wonderful experiment that you're going to do. Dato has asked me to speak on three topics. One is about India-Malaysia business relations. Then, of course, look at a little more in detail on the investment opportunities, and then look at how diaspora, Indian diaspora, can connect with India in a more effective manner. I'll try and touch upon this. I don't know how much time I have, but I'll certainly look forward to MC alerting me. Whenever you feel that I'm exceeding my time, please do let me know. First of all, I think, let me start by saying 2024 has been a very transformative year in India-Malaysia's bilateral relations. I attribute entirely to the leadership of both Malaysia as well as India. Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, undertook a very significant visit last year to India in August, accompanied by 5 federal ministers, and wherein, more importantly, our leaders, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, they connected so well and decided to elevate the relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. We had a partnership which is called a strategic partnership, which is now called a comprehensive, where it opens up a lot of new windows of opportunity for two countries to engage, particularly in areas where we have not seen such engagement before. This is what I want to emphasize. And here, more significantly, the leaders have recognized that how can the vibrant Indian diaspora in Malaysia can contribute and develop the wider India-Malaysia economic growth and developments, which means we are looking at how both countries can mutually benefit from this connect of the Indian diaspora. And this has been also reflected in the joint statement that has been issued after the visit of Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia to India. Now here, the efforts that you are making today through MNCC, I think is a very clear reflection of that sentiment our leaders have expressed, that how we can connect through the diaspora route, Indian diaspora, more effectively, and how the way I see it is here, this is a very real link. It's not, we're not talking of theory here. You actually have businesses from India, business from Malaysia, and in the region now actually engaging through the day and talking about opportunities in both ways, both in India as well as Malaysia. So I think I commend MNCC, the leadership, for thinking it through and bringing it at a time when both countries, the leadership of the two countries is exactly looking in the same prism and through the way in which you are seeing it. Now coming to the trade and investment, firstly the trade part of it, by virtue of having a large diaspora, friendly investment policies, then we have this comparative advantages and complementarities we call in the trade investment priorities, and as well as the competencies of our two countries in both these realms. I think trade has been growing significantly. Currently for India, Malaysia is the third largest trading partner in Southeast Asia. Our trade has crossed $20 billion US, which is about roughly 90 billion ringgit last year. And it has shown gradual growth despite the challenges of what we have had. Now, having said that, what is important as we see it is that how both countries which are been collaborating in this trade and investment sectors move away from traditional areas. For example, let me add here, see, we will continue, there are certain items which we call them irreplaceable. That means we will continue to buy palm oil from Malaysia, and we'll continue to buy crude and natural gas, crude oil and natural gas, because India is not having these resources. Similarly, Malaysia will also be procuring several food items, including rice, so many other items. So these agricultural imports will take place. But what I want to stress today is to look beyond this. This is what we have been trying to do over the last, I would use the word, 3 years almost, where the Malaysian business communities, when they look at India, they should look at what is happening in India more closely. Some aspects I'm sure will be touched upon by the speakers later today. See, today is India, what we call the new India, is defined by a new phenomena that's happening. A phenomena where we are able to bring to the fore the youth and inspired and also technology-driven, digitally driven economy into the fore. Now, this is where, for example, I can give many examples a little later, but more importantly today, as countries are giving heavy emphasis on digital economy, how this digital economy can be developed, where we all, no country has a choice now. We all have to plunge into it, deep dive and take advantage of the various contours of digital, let's say, technologies for national growth of the GDP. Now here, before I proceed, let me add, if you look at any projections of India by IMF, World Bank, or even by some of the leading think tanks on economic side, India is here to stay in the top 3 economies for the rest of the century. It is a matter of couple of years. As I understand by IMF prediction, this year, India is likely to overtake Japan, become the 4th largest, and by another year or so, as they become the 3rd largest. And this will remain this way as per the predictions or estimates for the rest of the century, where 1, 2, 3, they will keep changing the positions. There is a projection which says that by end of the century, done by very famous economists from the US as well as UK, India will be the world's #1 economy by end of the century. And again, I'm stating this based on these studies which have been done, and it is also simply as a result of what is the historical fact. The historical fact before the arrival of the colonizers into India, in 1730, if you were to look at the economic studies of the time, India was the largest economy at that time, 1730s. So it's simply because as I said, country is going to deploy its own resources, the human resources, the technological advances you are able to take advantage of. More importantly, bring in what we call the digital democracy into the country, which is what is now driving India's, I would use the word, growth. And here, this is where I would request the colleagues in the MNCC to look through a new prism at India. How can you connect? What are this? Let's look at what are the elements of this new digital economy which is driving India, for example. One, you look at what we call as, let's start with digital payment network systems. Now today, close to 60% of payments are now getting done through the digital mode. You travel to any part of the world, India, like even the rural areas, it is simply because we have created that as a what we call an India stack. There are 3 parts to this. One, we have a unique identity in India for every 1.4 billion people in India, almost 99+%. Second, everyone has a digital transaction because the banks, there are 670 odd banks today in India, all have been integrated through what is called as the UPI, Unified Payment Interface. And thirdly, individuals' privacy is being protected to a large extent. And we've had instances, there are issues, but I think largely it has been able to sail through. Now, putting all these things together, what has happened is we have created for the first time, I think, a country of our size, a digital highway. It's like a highway you created for roads, you created one ports, airports. Similar digital highway has been created. Now it is having a multiplier growth. The spillover effects are rather very, very significant, and wherein we are able to take advantage of the individuals, each individual's ability to be able to connect with this network in an easy manner. So I would request that MNCC to focus also on how you could look at this dimension of India. Now what are the manifestations of that? First manifestation that coming out of is the startup growth. A startup means, as you all know, you are in the business, you know it much better, which is an individual who has an idea. It could be a college student, it could be anyone. The idea becomes a product, and the product reaches the market. And in the transition, what one needs is the necessary, let's say, ecosystem that has to be in place. Now that ecosystem has been developed in India because of the digital democracy, digital highway that's been created. Today, about 6-7 years back, we had about 600 startups in India. Now, I was just looking at the dashboard this morning. We have a dashboard, it says what are the startups as on today, because we have a federal government department in Delhi which maintains. Now today 160,000 startups are there. Now they cover the entire spectrum of areas, whether you want to call it agri-tech, fintech, you name it. I mean, all areas which are relevant to, let's say, which are contributing to the economic value, but at the same time now moving from being physical into digital mode. They're all being connected in this manner. So I'd encourage the look at the story of India through this prism. As I said in the beginning, we'll continue to do the normal trade, normal investment. But what I think, this has also been emphasized a few days back. We had a day-long conference in the ISIS Malaysia. As you know, it is one of the leading think tanks of Malaysia. And one of the striking observations made by speakers who came from within ASEAN countries, of course certainly from Malaysia as well as India, is that while India is now moving, developing its own manufacturing base, which we missed in the cycle earlier through various means, what has actually transformed India is this, which is the role of the service sector, particularly digital services, contributing to India's rapid economic growth. The second point I want to emphasize is that while doing all this, our government, through a lot of investments within the country, has been able to expand in a significant manner the physical infrastructure also. If you look at post-COVID period, in fact, I happened to be in Delhi for the 3 years around when we had the COVID problem. Most transformative reforms of Indian history have been, in the post-independent India, have been done during the COVID period. It is simply because it said there is a challenge, but there's an opportunity. Our leadership decided, led by our Honorable Prime Minister of India, that it is time that we move in all the reforms which are required, put in place, and that transformation is now paying dividend to us now. This is where government to decided that we will invest as a government into building the basic infrastructure. For example, as we speak now, we are building roads at the rate of 30 kilometers, highways per day on an average. Similarly, the airports are being doubled. We're going to become 70 to 80 to 150. So similarly, there are several other dimensions which are so important. Now, this is where the opportunities are to be looked at. Number one, again, if you drill down further, let me just mention the areas, but I'm sure you all in the area of business, so you'll figure out. One is, of course, renewable energies is a new segment. We're looking at semiconductor manufacturing, electric vehicles. So many other priorities which Government of India has announced, which is where we see a lot of complementarity, where Malaysia has the strength also. In fact, we're already seeing several Malaysian ancillaries units which are supporting your semiconductor industry are setting up offices in India as joint ventures. You should look at partnering. How can you take these companies to India? Partner with them in India. Because we are going to develop a huge semiconductor, ecosystem, the entire ecosystem, right? I mean, we are not going to miss any cycle, quite apart from many other countries. So at this rate, what I would like to emphasize today, this morning, is that look at India not in a traditional way, but look at those dimensions which are making India move forward in a manner that where we will remain relevant. We remain, as we call, the largest, fastest growing large economy in the world till 2030 certainly. And it is all again converging because of the digital technologies being deployed for the common good, for the people, wherein again, I don't have much time now, but otherwise I could spend little time on the importance of AI in India. We already deployed AI in the health sector, education sector, and it is also now happening as we speak in several other areas where we feel that it can actually help improve the quality of life, at the same time being more predictable and accurate. Before I conclude, I want to add just one line about the role of diaspora, Indian diaspora in India's economic development. We recently had Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, where Honorable Prime Minister of India once again launched what we call the role of Indian diaspora in India becoming a developed country by 2047. We are very ambitious in India, and where we would like to see a country which has been able to eradicate large part of the poverty in the last 10 years. 250 million people have been put out of the poverty. We too have still a segment of the population, roughly about 80 to 90 million. Our target is by 2030, the poverty line is out, and thereby now targeting by 2047 to become a developed country, which is a high income country. And this is where our Prime Minister, our leadership has emphasized repeatedly the role of Indian diaspora to be our partners. because we see that this partnership will help us, certainly at the same time will also be able to help us to connect you better with India. So here, once again, I want to thank Dato Ramanathan and the MNCC for inviting me this morning, and I would like to wish all the very best for the International Business Conference of Nagarathas, IBCN, to be held in Bangalore. And on this account, let me add here, I was just mentioning a little while ago to Dato Krishnan that if any facilitation that's required in your participation in Bangalore, be it in terms of at the High Commission level, both on the let's say travel related documents as well as in terms of your effective participation, we'll be very happy to join in. Thank you very much, sir.